Library Lion by Michelle Knudsen. Illustrated by Kevin Hawkes from Scholastic. This is the story talking about Miss Merriweather, the head librarian, is very particular about rules in the library. No running allowed, and you must be quiet. But when a lion comes to a library one day, no one is sure what to do. There aren't any rules about lions in a library. It turns out, though, that a lion seems very well suited for a library. His big feet are quiet on library floor. He makes a comfy backrest for the children at the story floor. And he never roars in the library, at least not anymore. But when something terribly happens, the lion helps in the only way he knows how. Could there ever be a good reason to break the rules, even in the library? Now let the story begin. One day, a lion came to a library. He walked right past the circulation desk and up into the stacks. Mr. McBee ran down to the hall to the head librarian's office. "Miss Merriweather! Miss Merriweather!" he called. "No running," said Miss Merriweather, without looking up. But there's the lion," said Mr. McBee. In the library." "Is he breaking any rules?" asked Miss Merriweather. She was very particular about rule breaking. Well, no," said Mr. McBee. "Not really." "Then leave him be," said Miss Merriweather. Lion wandered all around the library. He sniffed the card catalog. He rubbed his head against the new book collection. Then he padded over to the story corner and went to sleep. No one was sure what to do. There weren't any rules about lions in the library, so everyone was just looking at the lion sleeping. Soon it was time for story hour. There weren't any rules about lions at story hour either. The story lady seemed a little nervous. But she read out the first book's title in a good, clear voice. The lion looked up. The story lady kept reading. The lion stayed for the next story, and the story after that. He waited for another story, but the children began to walk away. "Hi, Lion. The story hour is over," a little girl told him. "It's time to go." The lion looked at the children. He looked at the story lady. He looked at the closed books. Then he roared very loud. Miss Merriweather came striding out of her office. "Who is making the noise?" she demanded. It's that lion," said Mr. McBee. Miss Merriweather marched over to the lion. "If you cannot be quiet, you have to leave," she said in a stern voice. "Those are the rules." The lion kept rolling. "Roar, roar, roar." He sounded sad. The little girl tugged on Miss Merriweather's dress. "If he promised to be quiet, can he come back for story hour tomorrow?" she asked. The lion stopped roaring. He looked at Miss Merriweather. Miss Merriweather looked back. Then she said, "Yes, a nice, quiet lion would certainly be allowed to come back for story hour tomorrow." "Hooray! Yeah!" said the children. The next day, the lion came back. "You are early," said Miss Merriweather. "Story hour is not until 3 o'clock." The lion did not budge. "Very well," said Miss Merriweather. "You might as well make yourself useful." She sent him off to dust the encyclopedias until it was time for story hour. The next day, the lion came early again. This time, Miss Merriweather asked him to lick all the envelopes for the overdue notices. Soon the lion began doing things without being asked. He dusted the encyclopedias, he licked the envelopes, he let small children stand on his back to reach books on the high shelves. Then he curled up in the story corner to wait for story hour to begin. At first, the people in the library were nervous about the lion, but soon they got used to having him around. In fact, he seemed very well suited for the library. His big feet were quiet on the library floor. He made a comfy backrest for the children at story hour, and he never roared in the library anymore. "What a helpful lion," people said. They patted his soft hair as he walked by. "How did we ever get along without him?" But Mr. McBee scoffed when he heard that. They had always gotten along fine before. No lions were needed. Lions, he thought, could not understand rules. They did not belong in the library. Mr. McBee didn't like the lion. One day, after he had dusted all the encyclopedias and licked all the envelopes and helped all the small children, the lion padded down to the hall to Miss Merriweather's office to see what else there was to do. There was still some time left before story hour. "Hello, Lion," said Miss Merriweather. "I know something you can do. You can bring a book back into the stacks for me. Let me just get it down from the shelf." Miss Merriweather stepped up onto the step stool. The book was just out of reach. Miss Merriweather stood on her toes. She stretched out her fingers. Almost there," she said. Then Miss Merriweather stretched a little too far. "Ouch!" said Miss Merriweather softly. She did not get up. "Mr. McBee," she called after a minute. "Mr. McBee." But Mr. McBee was at the circulation desk. He could not hear her calling. "Lion," said Miss Merriweather, "please go and get Mr. McBee." The lion ran down the hall. He ran and ran and ran. "No running," Miss Merriweather called after the lion. The lion put his big front paws up on the circulation desk and looked at Mr. McBee. "Go away, Lion," said Mr. McBee. "I'm busy." The lion whined. He pointed his nose down the hall toward Miss Merriweather's office. Mr. McBee ignored him. "Go away, Lion, go away, I'm busy." Remember, Mr. McBee, he did not like the lion. Finally, the lion did the only thing he could think of to do. He looked Mr. McB right in the eye. Then he opened his mouth very wide. And he roared the loudest roar he had ever roared in his life. Mr. McB gasped. "You are not being quiet," he said to the lion. "You are breaking the rules." Mr. McB walked down the hall as fast as he could. The lion did not follow him. He had broken the rules. He knew what that meant. He hung his head and walked toward the doors. Mr. McB did not notice. "Miss Merryweather! Miss Merryweather!" he called as he walked. "Miss Merryweather! The lion broke the rules! The lion broke the rules!" He burst into Miss Merryweather's office. She was not in her chair. "Miss Merryweather?" he asked. "Miss Merryweather, where are you?" "Sometimes," said Miss Merryweather from the floor behind her desk, "there is a good reason to break the rules, even in the library. Now please go call a doctor. I think I've broken my arm." Mr. McB ran to call a doctor. "No running," Miss Merryweather called after Mr. McB. The next day, things were back to normal. Almost. Miss Merryweather's left arm was in a cast. The doctor had told her not to work too hard. "It's all right. I will have my lion to help me," Miss Merryweather thought. But the lion did not come to the library that morning. At 3 o'clock, Miss Merryweather walked over to the story corner. The story lady was just beginning a story for the children. The lion was not there. People in the library kept looking up from their books and computer screens, hoping they would see a familiar furry face. But the lion did not come that day. The lion did not come the next day either, or the day after that. The lion was gone. There's no lion here. One evening, Mr. McB stopped by Mrs. Merryweather's office on his way out. Can I do anything for you before I go, Miss Merryweather?" he asked her. "No, thank you," said Miss Merryweather. She was looking out the window. Her voice was very quiet, even for the library. Mr. McB frowned as he walked away. He thought there probably was something he could do for Miss Merryweather after all. We all know Miss Merryweather, she missed the lion. Even Mr. McB, and of course, people in the library and children, everyone missed the lion. And where is the lion now? Mr. McB left the library, but he did not go home. Guess where has he been? He walked around the neighborhood. He looked under cars. He looked behind bushes. He looked in backyards and trash cans and tree houses. But there's no lion. Finally, he circled all the way back to the library. The lion was sitting outside, looking in through the glass doors. Hello, lion," said Mr. McB. The lion did not turn around. I thought you might like to know," said Mr. McB, "that there's a new rule at the library now. No rolling allowed unless you have a very good reason. Say, if you're trying to help a friend who's being hurt, for example." The lion's ears twitched. He turned around, but Mr. McBee was already walking away. The next day, Mr. McBee walked down the hall to Miss Merriweather's office. "What is it, Mr. McBee?" asked Miss Merriweather in her new, sad, quiet voice. I thought you might like to know," said Mr. McBee, "that there's a lion in a library." "What? A lion?" Miss Merriweather jumped up from her chair and ran down to the hall. Mr. McBee smiled. No running," he called after her. Of course, Miss Merriweather did not listen. In the library, see, all the children were jumping around, having cheering. Why are they cheering? Even the story ladies clapping hands and people smiling. Yeah, anything could happen there. Even some kids will walk on their hands. Wow, great! Yes, the lion's back! The lion's already back into the library. Hooray! Wonderful. Such a good lion. I would love to have such a furry little big cat in my house too. So we say, sometimes there was a good reason to break the rules even in the library. The end. Thanks for watching. Hope you like the story. Bye.